there's something that I have been learning to do recently, and that is soothing my inner child. That's something I've been learning to do these days. And basically, what it means is, when you have a baby that is crying and you're carrying it, the baby keeps crying, and you're trying to like make him stop or her stop, make it stop, and you're giving it water, but the baby's like still keeps crying and keeps moving its head away from the water. And then you give it food and it keeps saying no, like obvious, not like it's saying no, but like moving its face away from what it is that you're giving it to it. Then you realize that okay, maybe it could be sleep, so you put it on your chest or you back the baby, and finally the baby is at peace and sleeping. So soothing your inner child is basically when you are in pain, when you are feeling down or in that mushy, messy state, that state where people are most likely tagged as a state of weakness. When you are in that state, instead of running away from the feeling or abandoning the feeling, you press on to find out what is going on with you. That's basically soothing your inner child, right? So as adults, it's very we are likely to abandon the child. That is what I mean is basically this. So the baby, you're carrying the baby keeps crying, you don't know what to do with the baby. So you don't know what to do with the baby, so instead of going on to push and trying to see if it's water or food or just sleep that is wrong with the baby, you just dump the baby, ignore the baby, let the baby cry. Alright? And I believe, or I've noticed that that's what a number of us do as adults. We just leave the baby, abandon ourselves while we are in pain, while we go on to work, ignore everything that is going on instead of tending to our feelings, tending to our emotions, admitting what is wrong, trying to see how we can sort and find a solution to what is wrong. We ignore it entirely, and we remain in pain without nothing being sorted out. And in as much as that is the easiest option, it's not always the best option long term, right? And I've learned that it's not the best option most times. The best option is to tend to my emotions, tend to how I feel. How I feel is valid. How I feel is so. In as much as I can feel it, then I don't need to deny it, right? Because it is there. The evidence of the hurt is there. So why ignore it? So most times, how do I tend to my inner child? If, for instance, let's say I felt betrayed by a friend or hurt by a friend or something, usually what I would do is, when I see myself trying to walk away from my emotions, what I do is, in movies, when a romantic movie where a girl wants to walk out of the guy and then the guy pulls her back and holds her, that's how I run it in my head. So I'm walking away from my emotions, and then I pause and pull myself closer, and I'm like, hold on. I put myself closer to myself. Like it's all internal. It's nothing physical. I can't pull myself like this. I mean, I'm here. So it's more like internally. I pull myself to myself and become present with myself, and then I let it set in, and I'm having a conversation with myself. Grace, how are you? And then the inner child is like, I felt hurt by what this person said. I expected a lot from this person, and I really wish they didn't do this thing. And at points where I need to cry, right, I go ahead to cry. And actually, I've been finding it really hard to cry, right? However, last week I cried my eyes out, and I was so happy. I was happy that I cried because it means I am getting in touch with myself. I'm beginning to get back to myself, right? it's relieving for me, because not crying to me is me hiding and ignoring my emotions, neglecting my emotions, but crying is me tending to my emotions. That's how it is with me, right? So yeah, so I sit down, have that conversation with myself, and if I need to cry, like there are conversations in my head where I'm like a little child. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I am there as a little child, feeling lonely, feeling neglected, and I have that, like I'm learning to see that and still continue the conversation until I've gotten to a point of, Grace, it's fine that you feel this way. Grace, this is fine. Like, acknowledge the emotion so that I can walk beyond it, right? So I am not walking over it. Like, the emotion is not there and I'm just ignoring it while I'm walking, but I am there and then I'm able to walk and move with it. So that way it gives me more strength to deal with circumstance around that better. So when I see you next time, I do not want to blow your head off. When I see you or anything, I don't want to kill you. Instead, I'm not killing anybody, but instead I am able to, myself and you can now sit and have a better conversation, because I have dealt with the heartbreak, and I can it even gives me more space to express myself when next I'm speaking with you. You understand? So it's soothing yourself and not waiting for someone else to soothe you is great. It's relieving, and I must not lie that it's always sweet when we find other people who are interested in soothing us. But first we must soothe ourselves before we look for outside. Before we look outside for soothing, right? So yeah, soothe your inner child. You're an adult doesn't mean that you shouldn't. You're an adult doesn't mean that you should neglect all of your feelings. The fact that your feelings are there means they exist, so you don't have to neglect them. Just tend to them, nurture them, and soothe them. Yeah, that's all for today, guys. Have a wonderful week. Bye bye. Peace.